So, can anybody explain what I explained in the yesterday's class? What you understand? What are the terms that we discussed with respect to sales process? Anyone? Just overview. Anyone?
Yesterday we've covered topics like debit memo, inquiry, quotation,
Hmm.
credit memo, uh,
Hmm.
letter of credit,
Yes.
and yeah, I remember as of that.
Okay. So in sequence, if you ask me to tell all those things, starting with inquiry, quotation, contract, sale order. Okay. Then the invoice. Then debit memo if you want to increase the billing value to the customer, credit memo to reduce the billing value to the customer. Letter of credit is nothing but a guarantor incoming coming in between the customer and buyer and the seller. Okay. So on behalf of buyer, the bank will give guarantee to the customer. Okay, but customer has to follow the rules and terms and conditions provided in the contract. Okay, so these things we discussed, and also one more thing, retention also we discussed. Okay, retention is nothing but some portion of amount will be kept in hold without paying to the customer. So these are the things that we discussed. Okay, and today we will discuss actually and also I explained yesterday about a little bit about accruals as well. Now we will discuss today about procurement related, like this we call yesterday's topic, we call it as order to cash. Okay, now this topic we will call it as procure to pay. Order to cash means starting from the receipt of the order to the receiving of cash from the customer. Here, procuring of a material from the vendor till to the payment of cash to the vendor. Okay. So there it is, order to cash process that is related to the revenue. Whereas here, since we are purchasing, this is a expense part. Okay. One is expense part, one is revenue part. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Or we can also say one is payables. This is payables and that is receivables. Okay. Okay. Now we will start today with this procurement related. Uh, okay. So here today we are going to discuss about purchase. Here only directly I gave just to take a minimum amount of time instead of explaining everything again and again. So I gave here activity, purpose and T code in which we are going to execute in SAP as well, so that you people will remember. Okay. So purchase requisition, it's a internal document. Okay, it's an internal document which is created by some department, let us say some civil department, electrical department, plumbing department, or it can be some instrumentation department. Any department which is involving in the project, they may create for the a purchase requisition for buying the material or services from the project, or it can also be created manually from ME51N. So ME51N is the transaction code which is used to create the purchase requisition. Let us say you are willing to buy 100 bags of cement, okay, or 20 tons of 20 tons of sand, for example, 10 tons of steel. So this either you can create from a network activity automatically, or else you can by using a network and activity, or by using a WBS element also, you can procure the material by creating a purchase requisition from the ME51N transaction code. So this is an internal document which further it will go for approval cycle. That means this internal document will be created by the project material planner. Okay, this material planner he will create as per his requirement. Okay, for the maybe for the next 1 month or 2 months planning he might be having. Accordingly, he will plan to buy some materials or services. Then the department manager will go through this purchase requisition and he will approve it. If he says okay, then he will approve it. If it is not okay, he will reject and he will put the comment saying that reduce the quantity or increase the quantity. This may not suffice, something like that. Okay. So every purchase requisition will undergo a approval process. That approval will be done by the department manager, respective department manager, okay, and he will be having authorization, because each division will have one purchasing group through which the authorization control will be there. So it will go whenever I create a purchase requisition, like civil department created a purchase requisition, it will go to civil head. Electrical department created a purchase requisition, it will go to electrical head. Like that, it is based on the purchasing group that a code will be there for the purchasing group. Whenever we are creating a purchase requisition, we will maintain that purchasing group within the PR at the line item level. So based on that, system will trigger to whom it has to go, to whom it has to go for the approval. So that is the process for the purchase requisition. Now, release strategy, that is, it's a approval hierarchy. Release strategy is nothing but approval hierarchy. So assume that there can be multiple people working in the department. So it will go initially to one approver, then to the second approver, then to the third approver. So that is also possible. Multiple levels of approval also possible. So release strategy is nothing but it's a configuration where the consultant will perform. All these are related to configurations. We are not going to do anything. Only one PR document type they will give us, that we will integrate in the PS. Okay, that I hope I shown once, but once again I will show it when we create a PR. Okay. So this release strategy configuration will be done by the consultant. The T code for approving the PR is ME54N. Okay. Now, what is release strategy? All these things, when we jump into the system, you may understand it. Okay. Now, next is request for quotation. Assume that the purchase requisition is approved. Now, the purchasing department or the procurement department will approach the vendor as per the requirement raised by the concerned department, like civil or electrical. For that, they will float an inquiries for quotations, like requesting a quotation for so and so, for example, this much of steel, sand, or cement. They may ask the quotations. Okay, like multiple vendors they will approach. Like assume for cement they may approach L&T, or assume any three cements you take, and they may approach three different cements, and then they will take the quotation based on that, the best suitable one in terms of pricing, in terms of specification, quality. If those things matches, then they will give PO to one of the vendor who is supplying the cement or steel or sand, whatever it may be. So that RFQ will be received through email or something like that. Then that request for quotation will be maintained in ME41N. Okay. Now maintain quotations, enter vendor responses. Like we raised a request for the quotation, then assume that from the vendor we received multiple quotations. Those quotations they will enter in ME47N. Then what they will do, once the quotations are received from the vendor, they will compare the three quotations. That is analysis they will do. What is the difference between the three quotations? That will be done in ME49N. Okay, ME49. Now, once, see, assume among the three, one like L&T is awarded. So they will buy the L&T cement, for example. Now, for that quotation, they will maintain the purchase order. That is, this is the legal document or the official document, okay, which will be given to the vendor. Okay, which will be given to the vendor. It's a legal document. Okay, as per the agreed terms and conditions, they will provide the PO to the vendor. So once the PO is received by the vendor, he will supply the material to the a customer. Okay, like for example, in this case, L&T will provide material to Reliance. Now, before sending this PO to the vendor through an email or through some other media, it will also undergo a approval process. Who will do this approval? This approval will be done by the purchasing department people. It can also go multiple levels of approval stages. Okay. Now let us assume there are two scenarios. One is material, one is service. PO can be a material PO, or it can also be a service PO. Material PO means purchasing of steel, steel, cement, sand. Now, for example, they want some labor to be procured. For example, some labor from the contractor, they need 10 people. Okay. or they may need someone who will provide the designing services. Okay, they may need external consultant for providing the design to the building. So that is a service. Okay, so that service PO we will perform once the PO is awarded. The design will be done by the vendor. Once the vendor completes the design, we will perform the service entry sheet. Okay, for the service PO, we will perform the service entry sheet. For the material PO, we will perform the GRN. Okay, so GRN will be done in MIGO, MIGO. So that step I have to add here. By mistake, I forgot it. So I will add that for the material, it is MIGO, MIGO transaction code will be there. In that, they will perform the goods receipt. Once the vendor send the material to our project location or to the warehouse, the warehouse clerk will perform the GRN. Okay. So that is about the material, and for the service entry sheet. So two different GRNs. For service, it is ML81N. For material, it is MIGO. Just remember this. Even for the service entry sheet also, based on the work done certificate. What do you mean by work done certificate? Means in the field, let us assume the people are working. Okay, let us assume some people are working. Okay, so they will submit the timesheet. Let us say they are vendor employees. That means we took some of the labor from the vendor. So based on that, what they have to do, they will submit the daily timesheet to the project manager or the project supervisor. So he will confirm this is okay. Then that is nothing but work done. Based on the work done, this SCS will be approved. That means there will be a verification with the field document, and once that verification is performed, they will approve this SCS. If there is any deviation in the quantities or the number of hours that is worked, or maybe once the drawing is finished, okay, that drawing completely approved, then they will approve this SCS. Okay, sorry. That is the SCS process. Invoice posting. What is invoice posting? Invoice posting is nothing but, now whenever the vendor is supplying material or service, he will, along with the timesheet or along with the material, he will also send a invoice document. Okay, he will send along with the materials, he will send a invoice. Okay, I told regarding this invoice one example related to Amazon. I hope you remember. So I don't want to repeat that again. So that invoice value with respect to that vendor, they will record. Okay, with respect to that PO, they will record. Okay, so we have a preceding document PO. Everything, the service entry sheet also performed with respect to PO. The GRN, that is goods receipt, also performed with respect to PO only. Even if we have a down payment also for vendor, if for suppose the vendor is asking advance payment or down payment, what we call, both are same. So that is also performed with respect to PO. There in sales, everything is performed with respect to sales order. Here everything is performed with respect to, like billing or down payment are performed with respect to sale order in case of sales process. Similarly here with respect to purchase order, we are going to perform the advance payments, SCS or GRN. Okay, and then the payment is nothing but sending amount to vendor's bank account is nothing but payment that will be recorded in F110 or F-53. Okay, so this is again, any queries up to here?
No, sir.
So here, purchase requisition, internal request to procure material or services. So as I told, it's a internal request. Okay, that is raised by any of the departments which are working with the project. Okay, created by departments to initiate the procurement process. Same thing only. These are the transaction codes for create, change, and display, ME51N, 52N, 53N respectively. Okay, release strategy for PR, PO, RFQ. So the release strategy is possible for PR and PO, RFQ. Okay, workflow approval process that controls whether a document PR, PO can proceed the next step. Okay, let us assume the PR is rejected here. Then they have to amend that PO. Again, they have to send it for approval. That is nothing but whether it has to proceed for the next step or not will be decided by the department manager. Okay, based on the criteria like value, it can be based on the value combination, can be value, material group, plant and purchasing group, something like that. So this is a configuration note that is explained here. Next, request for quotation, a formal request sent to vendors to obtain quotes for materials or services. So see, in case of customer is doing inquiry for requesting for services such as construction of a house, something like that. Similarly, here Reliance is doing inquiry with the vendors, okay, for purchasing of materials or services from different vendors. That is RFQ. Okay. So why it is used? Used to compare vendor pricing and terms before issuing a PO. Okay. This is necessary. Then maintain quotation from vendors. Enter vendor responses. Once the vendor provided the quotations, then they will be entered in the system with the material prices, delivery dates, and terms from each vendor. Okay, that is maintained in ME 47N. Evaluate and compare different vendor quotations received in response to the RFQ. So this comparison is nothing but at this stage we maintain three different quotations with three different vendors. Now here this is a comparison, just like a table comparison. They will compare here with between the three vendors what is the difference, and they will select the most cost effective and compliant vendor. Compliant vendors means he has to comply with respect to the quality as well as to the specifications that we mentioned. That is the meaning. Purchase order, a formal order issued to a vendor to supply materials or services under agreed conditions. So this PO will be issued after finalizing in the compare quotations the best one for the best vendor. They will create a PO with respect to that vendor, and they will give this PO document. Maybe a soft copy will be sent to the vendor. Um, this is a legally binding document for procurement. So once the PO is issued to the vendor, he has to supply the material as per the agreed terms and conditions, okay, mentioned in the PO in terms of quality or quantity or in terms of value. There is a PO approval process similar to release strategy for PR. Here also there is a process. This T code is ME28. Okay, service entry sheet. Then once the work done is performed, I mean in the site some work is done in terms of services, then the service entry sheet will be performed based on the work done certificate. That means there must be a proof. For example, you are buying some products, assume that. So how we will pay to the distributor based on the invoice that he submitted, and we will have a reference bill for that. Copy of bill will be there with us. When he approaches for the payment, we will see the invoice or the bill. Then we will provide the phone pay transaction, or we will do the phone pay transaction or banking transaction as per the invoice that the distributor submitted. Similarly, in case of projects also, based on the service and reshape in terms of like for example, we actually assume that for the painting we gave to external vendor. Painting we don't have our own manpower. We agreed on square feet basis. We will pay something like 250 rupees per square feet or something like that, assume. Then the work done will be recorded. How many number of square feet has been finished? So based on the number of square feet finished, supervisor will submit the work done. Okay, then the procurement department will enter the SCS. Okay, that will get approved maybe from the finance or from the respective manager. Okay, that is nothing but SCS. Okay, I'm sorry. Today vendor invoice, financial document representing the vendor's bill. So whenever we receive the work done, the next step is along with the material or service supply, he will also submit for that period or for that work that he has performed. He will submit the invoice, okay, which contains the number of quantities that he performed and what is the equivalent amount to be paid to the vendor. That is mentioned in the invoice. So invoice they will record in MIRO transaction, MIRO, okay. Then once the invoice is recorded, the payment payables team, okay, they will process the bulk payment, like for n number of vendors at a time, they will process the bulk payment. So then the amount will be received by the vendor. into his bank. Okay. So this is the process of procurement, starting with the purchase requisition, RFQ, then maintain RFQ, then compare RFQ, then one for the best vendor PO will be given. Once the PO given, in case of material, MIGO will be performed, that is goods receipt will be performed. If it is a service, SES will be performed. Then along with the SES or the material, invoice will be submitted by the vendor. So they will compare the invoice quantities and value with the PO quantities and values. If those matches, then they will pay the payment. That is the complete cycle. If anyone having any queries, let me know. Up to here. Any other queries? Any queries, Anish?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So similar to customer advance payment, vendor advance payment is also there. Vendor advance payment is done to provide the material or services. So vendor will ask maybe 30% of advance payment for sending the material like cement or sand, steel. He may ask out of the total value, he may ask 30% or 10% as per the total value of the PO. Okay, that is the vendor advance payment. Now this is very important. What is a movement type? Okay, a movement type is a three-digit key that defines the type of material movement in inventory management. So this is used. This movement type will be recorded only for the materials. So you remember the movement type is not recorded for the services, but the movement type is recorded only for the materials. When we receive the material from the vendor, in the warehouse clerk in SAP, he enters, okay, when he will perform the goods receipt with the movement type, for example, 101. 101 is the movement type which is used for recording the GRN, that is receipt of the material from the vendor. Okay, this is very important. Okay, you need to remember. It tells the system what kind of stock movement being done, like goods receipt, goods issue, transfer, etc., and determines inventory posting direction, increase or decrease. For example, when we receive 10 tons of steel, we need to show in the balance sheet 10 tons of quantity and what is its equivalent value. So the balance sheet will get updated along with one offsetting account GRIR, that is goods receipt and invoice receipt done. That is, along with the goods movement, vendor has sent invoice also. Okay, an invoice also, that is called GRIR. That is nothing but GRIR. So when we do this posting, inventory posting, my inventory will increase, and GRIR, that is goods receipt and invoice receipt, okay, an intermediate account, okay, that is used for reconciliation purpose, just for reconciling the quantities that were mentioned in the PO and the quantities that were received and the invoice submitted for how much. So this is nothing but three-way matching with respect to the PO in all the three ways, so that they will ensure that the quantities in the PO, the quantities in the GRN, the quantities in the invoice must be matched as well as along with the value. So that is nothing but three-way matching principle they will follow. Okay. If everything is
Yeah.
matched, they will.
Hi, Shiva.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me.
So here we can have like two types of stock, like a stock item and non-stock item, right? So if it's a stock item, then it will hit GRIR, and if it's a non-stock item, so it will be directly consumed at the time of goods receipt, right?
Yeah, it will be consumed, but still the GRIR will be there, no?
No, then I think consumption GL will be hit, right? For that.
No, no, that is different, Pavan. Consumption GL, that is okay. Okay, see, I explained somewhere in one example where I explained. Here, I think. See, this will be the entry. Even for our batch, also I explained the same. Now I will tell you the difference. See, stock purchase. Okay.
Yeah.
Assume project stock. We know project stock scenario is there, right?
Yes.
So when we are receiving the material, okay, what happens is inventory. That is nothing but balance sheet account will debit. That is increase. Always remember assets, okay, or materials. When received, it will increase. Okay, that is a debit. Okay.
Yeah.
On the other hand, receivables, or I can say revenue or liability. Its value will increase when credited. Just remember this. Okay. For assets, okay, for assets or material. So material is also one type of asset only. Assets, it can be a FI asset or a material. Any balance sheet items, okay, any balance sheet item that is in the form of asset or a material, when received, okay, it will get debited. That means in this case, assume the vendor is supplied 100 tons of cement. Let us take some 10 tons. 10 tons of cement. Now what happens? In the balance sheet, 10 tons it will be shown. Okay. Then vendor, what he is doing along with the material, he is sending the invoice, right? So this is goods receipt and invoice receipt. Okay. This is a invoice receipt. So what is this? This is credited. Okay.
Okay.
So this is this case. Now what about the non-stock case? Non-stock means I am not going to keep this in the stock. Okay. As soon as I receive this, I will consume it to some cost object. Some cost object, any cost object. Okay. It can be PM order, or it can be a network, or it can be a WBS element, right?
Yeah.
Or it can also be a production order, or it can also be a cost center, right? Correct. So the account assignment object will be this one. But here also the account assignment object is WBS. Okay. Here what happens is, in case of non-stock item, for the stock item, the item category is L. Okay. Just remember
Yeah.
this. The item category is L. Okay. For non-stock item, it is N. Okay. For example, when we are creating from the project, I am talking about from the project. So this account assignment WBS means it is Q for valuated project stock, because we are talking with inventory. So account assignment is Q. Okay. Item category will be blank. Okay. Item category will be blank in case of project stock. Okay. Now non-stock case, let us assume the account assignment can be P, or it can be N. Okay. Or it can be K. Okay. Or
Yeah.
it can be F in terms of PM order and production order, right? These are the account
Yes.
assignment categories, possible account assignment categories. Now this case, non-stock item case, what happens is, when we receive the material, the consumption account will debit, because see, when I consume the material from this project stock, what is the entry? Consumption. Assume that from the project stock I am consuming, consumption will debit, my inventory
Yeah.
will
Credit.
credit. That means, see, assume, I will tell you very simple example. Okay. I have a kitchen. So what I have done initially, I went to DMart. Okay. I purchased 10 or 5 milk packets. 5 milk packets, for example. So I kept them in the refrigerator. Refrigerator is my storage location. Okay. So my
Yeah.
inventory is up now. So I came from DMart, I reached to my house and I stored them in refrigerator. Right. So that means in my house, my plant is my house, my refrigerator is my storage location. So in that storage location, I have 5 number of quantities. Okay. So what happens? In my storage location, I have 5. That means initially in the refrigerator, how many milk packets? It is 0. Initial stock is 0. Assume. So my final, once I reach to home, I stored with 5 quantities of milk packets. That means my quantity is increased, right? So my balance sheet account will increase with 5. And what is the value of that? Let us say each packet is 30 rupees. Let us assume. It can be more in India now. Okay. So it is 150 rupees debit value and also equivalent quantity and value will be there here. Okay. Now, when I consume 150 rupees will debit to the expense account or consumption account and a credit of this inventory. That means my inventory here it is negative. So what is happening? The inventory is getting nullified
Clear.
here,
Okay.
right? So my
Mm.
inventory is getting reduced and I still have my GRIR, okay? But
Okay.
this is expensed out. Somewhere this is consumed. That means how I consumed, let us think, every day I consumed 1 milk packet, right? When I
Yeah.
consume each time, let us say daily I want only 1 packet. That means I will perform goods issue, okay, every day 1. That means 1 material document for 1 day. So for 5 days, I will create 5 material documents, right? So
Yeah.
total stock will be consumed like this. Or else, let us assume 4 or 5 families came to your home on that particular day. Then assume five packets I want to consume on the same day. So I will, that is nothing but goods issue. So that is recorded in PS with respect to movement type 281. So for GRN, the movement type is 101. For goods issue, that is for the consumption, that is issuing from this refrigerator. So I should ask, okay, whenever I want to consume this, I have to ask and I have to take this material by giving some reference. Reference is here. Maybe my friends or family came to home. So I am taking this. But here in this case, I have a reservation with respect to this project WBS element. So I am just trying to issue it to the project. You got it, no?
Yeah. Yes. So 281 is for network, right? It's and 221 for WBS, I think.
Reservation for network.
Okay.
Okay. That is about the consumption and inventory. I hope you understood. The same is
Yeah.
the case with SES. In the case of SES, what will happen is instead of this consumption, this is material consumption account, service consumption account will be linked. That's it.
Okay.
But here there is no inventory. Service is not an inventory, right? I will give that entry also. What is the entry in case of service? This one.
Service entry sheet. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So for service, this is the entry. Because it's again GRIR only, right? Let us assume 100 square feet of tiles laid by one vendor, right? In a period of 1 month, 100 square feet of tiles he laid. Let us assume like practically 1,000 square feet. Now, what is the value? Let us say 50,000. So the service consumption account will hit with 50,000 and it will credit with the GRIR. because he is providing the services, okay, with a quantity and value which is mentioned in the PO level, and a GRIR is there. So once we record the MIRO, that is invoice, because he gave the invoice to us, what will happen is vendor will credit, GRIR will debit. What do you mean by that? That means my liability is increasing. This intermediary account, which is used for reconciliation purpose between the PO, GRN, and the invoice, will get nullified. If there is any deviation, okay, then this account will have some open value, open item, right? So that is the meaning, okay? And it will not allow, if it is not matching, if it is deviated, it will not allow, okay? So that is the process, Pawan. Any other queries, Pawan?
Yeah, I have one more query, but I'm not sure it's the right time to ask. Like in
Yeah,
PS, we
tell
have
me.
that valued and non-valued stock
Yes.
scenario. So, what is the used case of for the both case?
Okay. I will tell you. I implemented one real-time project here. Uh, there is no right time for anything. Whenever you have that, you should ask. That's it. Non-valuated, right? Generally, valuated. Okay. What is happening in case of valuated stock? When we receive the material, it's the FI entries are getting updated along with the quantities and value, right?
Yeah.
The FI accounts, the GL accounts are getting updated. Now, this is the case when we want to do some deliveries, like for example, okay. So let us say you are procuring some material, okay, and you want to keep them in the stock and you want to perform like delivery process. Maybe you are producing some material, or maybe you are doing some trading, or something like where you need to perform some delivery process to the customer location, okay. And if you want to have a real time accounting, both with respect to the quantity and value, then we need to use this valuated. Like another case, non-valuated, I will tell. Maybe I'm not giving that elaborated. I will give that whenever we are discussing about that. Today, see, I don't know. Somehow I am getting sleep, to be frank. I'm not that energetic. Sorry. Okay. Now I will again give this explanation. Don't worry. Non-valuated. Let us say, for example, from the customer you are receiving one wall. Customer, from the customer you are receiving a wall, which is a customer uh, material, right? So the valve
Okay.
is, let us say, second-hand valve. I am just giving one example. There can be many scenarios. So generally, what will happen is, it is just like a repairable material for me. So the value of this is approximately zero, right? So
Yeah.
what we do is, actually any material, any second-hand material that we receive, we will not treat that as a valuated material. Okay, we will treat that material as just like a scrap material only, or the value of that material we will take that, because that we don't want what is the value of that material in our books when we do the GRN, right? So in that case, what we will do, we will create a non-valuated material, and but we will up the stock, but there is no
Okay.
value. In this case, what will happen? Let us say I receive two valves. I will repair those valves, and then I will again deliver these two quantities. So the cost will be captured for repairing of those valves. If any material consumed, service consumed, or man hours consumed, any equipment utilized, that will be tracked. But once that is repaired, everything is done, again the quantities I will deliver. So my stock movement will happen, okay, but there is no value movement. But in case of valuated stock, along with the value also, it will update. Now on the other hand, let us assume the scenario. Let us assume the same material you want to move from one project to another project or from project to plant. In this case, in case of valuated, along with the quantities, value will also flow. But in case of non-valuated, only quantities will move, but the value will not move. Okay. That is the disadvantage in non-valuated. So most of the cases valuated we are using. Okay.
Okay. So in case of repair scenario, we use non-evaluated mostly, right?
Yeah, in case of such scenarios, repair in the sense if it is not our own material, okay.
Yeah, customer own material.
Yes, yes, like that. And there are scenarios such as like uh, cost plus margin projects. You heard about cost plus margin, like the contract will be there in such a way that whatever cost incurs, okay, I will pay for you. Okay. On top of it, let us say you may ask me, what is the benefit for me? I will give on top of the cost, I will give 5% or 10% margin. That is cost plus margin projects. That kind of projects also will be there. That means you need to spend the amount, okay, whatever required for providing the service, like it can be a erection commissioning of a power plant or substation, whatever it may be the project, you need to spend the project for the project required budget. They will tell the contract is in such a way, monthly you need to submit the bill, running bill, like cost plus margin. That is whatever cost incurred you need to uh, show me exactly with the proof. Then I will give you 10% margin on top of it. Understood? No, that kind of scenarios also we will use, but I never did such scenarios, to be frank. Okay, but this was non-valuated for customer service. I designed this solution using PS and PM module. Okay, and we are using most of the cases, 99% cases valuated only. Once valuated came into picture, blindly most of the people are using this valuated project stock only. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is about that.
And one more query was sorry.
No problem. No problem, Pawan. Yeah.
So in one of my interview, like I think he asked me this question about non-related. So and he explained, I didn't answer that, and he explained me the scenario that when we do the goods receipt, only then accounting entry will flow, and before that, like if we create a PRPO, then they it will not consume budget in case of non-related.
Yeah, because there is no value, right? That means what
Okay.
he is trying to tell you is there is no commitment. He is telling that, right?
Okay. At the time of goods receipt, it will show with value, right?
It will hit automatically CGI3. That means the cost will get posted.
Okay.
That means this see here the cost will be not posted in case of balance sheet, right? Because the value and quantity is lying on the balance sheet, right? But here
Yeah.
in this case, this is a consumption GL, right? So in case of consumption GL, it will appear here on the WBS level. The cost will appear directly for which WBS you are issuing the material, it will in case of project stock. What he might be explaining is in case of non-valuated, when you do the GRN, say you received the material for the vendor, we have to pay, right? Material is non-valuated, quantity we are recording, and its value automatically will get recorded in the consumption account. That is in the CJI3 automatically it will hit the value.
Okay.
That is the thing I think he is trying to explain you.
And if it's a customer own material and we do GRN, then what will happen?
Pardon me, what? Can you come again?
Yeah, if it's a customer own material came for repairing service, then in that case, if when we do the GRN, then what will happen?
See, here what I am doing in case of non-valuated customer material, okay, I am not maintaining any value in the financial accounting. You know the material views, right? Material
Yes,
views.
yes. MRP
here,
view, accounting view, that thing.
yeah, correct. So we have basic data 1, 2, SO1, SO2, SO plant, purchasing, MRP 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have financial accounting FIA 1, FIA 2, and CO1, CO2, plant 1, 2, QM. Okay. So these are some of the views which I remember. Okay. Okay, these are the views that we will have based on the requirement. We will let us say if it is a customer material which we are using the sales process, we need to maintain this. If it is a delivery process, we need to maintain up to plant and financial accounting 1 and 2. Okay, let us say if it is a finished good, I need to maintain basic data 1, 2. Okay, then MRP 1, 2, 3, 4. Then CO1, CO2, and FI1, FI2. Right?
Okay.
And also plant for the storage location purpose. If it is MRP material, we need to maintain the MRP values if it is undergoing MRP process. Okay. But for FG, there will be no MRP process. It is manufactured inside the plant. But for the raw materials, there will be MRP. And for SFG also, there will be no MRP, right? Because
Yes.
they are produced inside.
Yeah.
So whatever materials that is undergoing into that FG, those will have MRP views. That means though for those materials, when we run the MRP, a planned order or the purchase requisition will generate. If it is S4 HANA, it will generate directly the purchase requisition. But in case of evaluated project stock, when we run the MRP, PR will generate, but there will be no commitments. Remember, in case of evaluated stock, in case of when the PR is generated, there is no commitment. Okay.
In case of valuated.
Yeah. MRP. When we run MRP, I am talking about MRP.
Okay.
When you run MRP, MD51, not
Okay.
normal.
Okay.
Normal PR, PO, which for evaluated stock from CJ20N, it will generate.
Okay.
But not for this. Okay. Okay. So where we are, I answered, I think, your question, right? This non-evaluated case, when we do the GRN, we are not maintaining any value. Okay. We are not maintaining any value. What I will do, I will show that, don't worry. So what I do is, let me stop.